What's the first thing you realized after moving out of your parents' home? That I finally had no one to explain myself to. I want to go out at 2 a.m.? Just walk out the door. I came home at 4 a.m.? Just walk in the door. I come home drunk with my own puke all over myself? Just go in the toilet and question my existence while I clean up. Basically what I was going to say, except with the ending that you finally realize that it's nice to go to work school not tired after you have no reason to stay out late and avoid your parents. How beautiful the double-edged sword of freedom is. You can do whatever you want, but you have no safety net. If you don't manage everything, your life will happily run itself off the rails in a ton of tiny, insidious ways. Yep, it's crazy how quickly shit hits the fan sometimes. Since leaving home, I have a whole new respect for my parents. Life's hard. I severely underestimated the amount of day-to-day cleaning needed to keep a place looking relatively presentable. It's nice being able to masturbate with sound. Did your parents forbid the use of headphones? You had to be able to hear them approaching. Chicken doesn't have to be dry. Spaghetti sauce doesn't have to come from a can. Love my folks, but they aren't chefs by any means. My mom thinks chicken that is even a little juicy is raw and makes me burn her piece to perfection. It's so annoying. Yes, when I visit, my mom gets pissed at me because apparently I turn every meal into a production. My bad for making sure it's all fresh and tastes good. People really scared me about bills. Oh, you're going to have to pay bills every month and it'll be the worst. Sure, it's not super nice having to take my money and give it to various people at regular intervals, but it's not stressful. Living with my parents was way more stressful than paying bills has ever been. I can't afford all those extra things I usually throw in my parents' grocery trolley. And how expensive the essentials like toilet paper and dish soap add up to be. And how it's a chore in itself remembering to write them on the list and actually purchase them. It's easy to think you're doing super well with money before you start paying for incidentals and household stuff. So true. I remember my first trip to the store about a month and a half after I went to college. I had a pretty tight budget of about $250 a month that my parents gave to me to spend on random things, which, by the way, I know was extremely generous of my parents to give me, and I'm exceedingly grateful that they did. I went to the store thinking, okay, all I need is some toilet paper. That should be pretty cheap. I'll still have plenty of money to buy some booze and eat out with friends a few times. Maybe I'll have enough to get a new video game. Then I walked down the aisle and realized pretty quickly that I needed a lot more than just EP. I was nearly out of laundry detergent, shampoo, deodorant, trash bags, etc. By the time the clerk was done ringing it all up, the bill was north of $100, which was further punctuated with the knowledge that my car was basically on E and I needed to stop on the way home and get gas. I sat at home that night knowing that I had like $90 of spending money for the rest of the month. It was a harsh moment of reality when my friends wanted me to go out, and I had to tell them I couldn't afford it. I learned pretty quickly that I needed to make a budget and not take those small household items for granted. Most of the habits you have are actually your parents' habits they passed on to you. I also noticed that not everyone who moves out of their parents' house realizes this. My wife and I argue frequently, though not in a serious way, that the other loads the dishwasher wrong because our parents had different dishwasher habits. I don't really need to eat. Who would bother? What is dinner? A small thing, but I have two younger brothers who were always quite greedy and selfish with food. My mom would buy a limited amount of snack food, and once it was gone until the next big food shop. My brothers would dive in like locusts and eat all of the crisps, chocolate, ice cream or whatever and leave nothing for me. It's been 10 years since I moved out, and I never stopped being happy that the chocolate I bought a week ago and am looking forward to after work is still there when I get home. It's nice having control over your own stuff. I have 5 siblings, so my when I grow up fantasy was literally to buy a bag of Sun Chips and eat the entire thing by myself. It took me a year after moving out of my parents' house to do it. I think on some level I was still convinced it would disappear. That the dish fairy didn't move in with me. You'll soon realize that the dish fairy was inside you all along. I'm sorry to tell you, but neither did the laundry fairy. The amount of peace and mental fatigue that got lifted off my shoulders Felt like I couldn't do anything at home without being judged. Unfortunately, my mom has this habit of randomly stopping by unannounced in the middle of the day, especially on weekends when I'm just trying to sit in my bathrobe and drink beer and play video games for a few hours in the middle of the daylight. And then she's always so obviously condescending about it, and shit. Feels bad. Like, sorry mom. I got a degree in a field where I can get weekends off. If I work 9 to 5 all week, I don't see why I should have to get up and be super productive every fucking Sunday as well. The other thing that bothers me a lot is that she doesn't really understand what my work is, energy management, engineering analysis type stuff. So she kind of dismisses it as if I don't ever actually do any work and my existence is some stress-free fairy tale. Pisses me off. The ghost sounds that I was hearing all the time was my parents having sex. It's so fucking quiet. The first night I looked up at my ceiling, and I actually had silence. I was so happy it was hard to sleep that night. That everything costs money. Rent costs money. Council tax costs money. Heat costs money. Water costs money. Electricity costs money. Groceries cost money. Petrol costs money. Maintenance costs money. TV license costs money. Just living costs money. I was in no way spoiled or sheltered when I was growing up, but even I shocked by the expense of everything. I dread to think how much my parents must have been spending every month just to keep a family of 5 alive. Makes me appreciate them even more, and I feel awful about when I used to moan about not having stuff when I was growing up. That I actually don't mind a little bit of order in my house. That, the real world, is easy. I was 18 when I moved out. I had already been paying for my car and car insurance, health insurance, and taking care of myself, clothes, food, dog, financially for years because my mom was incapable of taking care of herself hardly, let alone her daughter. I've always been the one to cook and clean and budget money and take care of myself and others. My family would ask how it is to not live with my mom and living on my own, asking if it was a huge shock or anything like that. Other than having less spending money, it was the exactly same as living with my alcoholic, hardly home mother. My childhood might have been hell, but I grew up fast and was able to migrate to living on my own and adulthood seamlessly. How much they actually took care of. These fuckers own a house, cabin, a condo, and manage every single bill they have while working more than full-time jobs. The kicker? They still have free time. Like, what a fact, parents, I can barely make breakfast and be out the door on time. Yet y'all's just made a 5-course breakfast and have finished half your emails in the same time. It made me appreciate how damn efficient they were with their time. That freedom from someone else dictating your life is absolutely worth all the other responsibilities that go with living on your own. It's not even close. Cooking huge portions is awesome. It's relatively cheap and makes for really easy dinners throughout the week. That I had made a huge mistake. However, I could sit as close to the TV as I wanted and stand there with the refrigerator door open and cool the whole neighborhood. That cleaning isn't such a chore as parents make it out to be. I clean 1 day a week on a Saturday for about 3 hours and that's it. Everything is done. I just make sure to clean up after myself as best I can. Sometimes, I'll admit, I'll leave that thing out on my coffee table for a while, or leave dirty clothes near my laundry basket, but not quite get it in. But it's no biggie, small messes here and there. Still, in the end, just a few hours on a Saturday to vacuum, Clorox, Windex, and Lysol everything, and it's clean for another week. I realized that most of the messes my parents would complain about were ones that they made themselves that got out of control, and then they would pin it on me to help clean it up. Now, everything is clean. No one nags for it to be cleaner since it's already spotless, and it's wonderful. The house needed a lot of day-to-day supplies, so the first few shopping trips were insanely expensive. Things like cooking oils, flour, sugar, saran wrap, tinfoil, garbage bags, mops, brooms, plungers, flashlights, etc. You don't really realize how many things you need on hand when you already had them for years. That being an adult is way less scary than it was made out to be. It isn't normal to spend a whole 12-hour day once a week going over finances. It isn't normal for it to take 2 months to resolve a phone call with a company. Cleaning the house shouldn't take a whole week. Driving isn't that bad. My mom made me terrified to be an adult, and now I'm handling it just fucking fine. I'm really pissed at how anxious she made me. The skyrocket of my self-esteem. There was no one there to call me fat or tell me my clothes and hair were ugly stupid. The constant criticism and drunken abuse vanished. It was no longer my responsibility to get my loser brother doing things or meeting people. He's 3 years older than me. I still see my mom and dad most weekends, but as soon as my mom starts drinking, I get to peace out and go home. There was a reason my dad was so crazy about what the thermostat was set to. That crap gets expensive. I can pee with the door open. It's a way of life now. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.